Wretched, that's a power play. You took them, now hold them.
Hey, how's it going? I've been playing more Destiny 2 recently, pretty crazy I know, and I happened upon a roll of the Ikelos hand cannon. But don't let that scare you off, hear me out. 180 RPM hand cannons in a fairly recent patch gained a little damage to help them perform more consistently across more resilience levels. This buff took them from 57 damage for a crit up to 60. This buff was enough to let Rampage at 1 stack deal enough damage to score a kill against 8 resilience at 66 per crit. In 3 shots. What I wanted to specifically talk about today was the potential in Frenzy on this gun, which was newly introduced with Season of the Seraph. Frenzy is a great perk across all aspects of the game. It's a perk that allows you to boost weapon damage without actually scoring a kill, and it can be activated while solo. The boost to damage is 15%, and while the perk is active, you're also granted an extra 50 handling and 50 reload. Taking into account this 15% damage boost, you go from dealing 60 damage for a headshot up to 70. An increase from 66 to 70 doesn't seem like that much if 66 can already 3-tap. Frenzy has the advantage though of extending your range slightly due to higher damage. It also allows you to kill all resilience levels within range. The activation condition of Frenzy is less simple than Rampage, but it's still pretty easy. Be in combat for 12 seconds. The game thinks you're in combat if you take or deal damage within that 12-second window, and then persists for 6 seconds, refreshing when you take or deal damage. Let me finish talking about Frenzy and then I'll move on to the weapon itself. So a great way to make use of this is the Gemini Jester boots on Hunter. These boots create a flashbang effect centered on the player that travels through walls and deals 1 damage when an enemy is hit with it. This basically just lets you cheese the perk activation and extension. So what would be the optimal barrel, mag, and third column perk? Luckily, the weapon's craftable this season. I have another video in the works covering what I think you should craft before Lightfall coming up soon, hopefully. I like to check my options for perks on D2 Gunsmith or light.gg before committing to a roll, so I would recommend checking out these sites. I might link them down below. First off, make sure you're checking the correct version of these weapons if you're on the site. This is the Ikelos HCV 1.0.3. The other two are previous iterations of the weapon, so they're useless to you. Now, 180 RPM hand cannons generally have great stability and poor other stats. So we want to pump up that range first and foremost to extend our possible engagement distance. I'm going to craft Hammerforge with a range masterwork. Next in the mag column, I think the only 2 real options here are Seraph rounds and Accurized rounds. Accurized offers a little more range, but Seraph grants some range and stability while including ricochet and armor-piercing properties. I think this is overall the better choice, unless you're trying to super min-max your range. Before I mention the third column perks, we need to keep in mind the origin trait, and the trait of all the Ikelos weapons that they share is Rasputin's Arsenal. Breaking Shield partially reloads the weapon from reserves. This does indeed work in PvP, and not only against supers. And when it activates, it gives you a fair few shots. I think I went from like 9 to 14, I'll show the exact number on screen. Essentially granting you a larger magazine, making you spend less time reloading and thereby eating up your frenzy timer. Back to the third slot. The perk options here aren't super flashy, but I think the top picks are Subsistence, Air Assault, and Rapid Hit. Subsistence loads back about 10% of your mag on kill, making it so you might almost never have to reload. And Air Assault grants a boost to airborne effectiveness and further boosts it when scoring kills. Rapid Hit increases your stability and reload speed when landing crits. I would probably use Rapid Hit or Air Assault personally, because when you're adding to stability, you're adding to flinch resistance, of course, and Air Assault boosts the already pretty decently high AE even further. And this brings us full circle back to our last column with Frenzy. If you don't like the activation requirement of Frenzy, you're in luck because this hand cannon also gets Golden Tricorn. This perk gets another 15% boost and activates for 7 seconds after getting a kill. Possibly better than Frenzy, but Frenzy also grants that excellent boost to handling. Now, this isn't a weapon that I manage fits most players, but I had a ton of fun playing with a random trashy roll with Frenzy on it, and I can't wait to craft a superior version. You may have seen in the past a ton of videos referring to a bunch of other 180s as the new Not Forgotten, but I think this, the Ikelos V1.0.3, is the closest thing we've had so far. Whether that be with Rampage, whether that be with Golden Tricorn, whether that be with Frenzy. I hope this video inspired you to try this weapon out. Let me know some more sleeper picks like this season down in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.
Enemy has your zone. A fire team that fights together